BPod Studios.
Defense abounding at last night's NBA All-Star Game, 397 points. East wins 211 to 186. Jaylen Brown had 36, Jayson Tatum with 20. Each of them played around 22 minutes. Damian Lillard took the MVP with 39 points, attempting 23 three-pointers. LeBron James said before the game yesterday he hopes to finish his career with the Lakers. Bruins will host the Dallas Stars this afternoon at TD Garden. Boston just one win in 6 games on this homestand. Judd Surratt, Bob Beers will have Duncan pregame at 12:30. Face-off at 1 here on the Sports Hub and the New England Honda Dealers Bruins Radio Network. Bees captain Brad Marchand will be honored before today's game. He played his 1,000th NHL game last week. Former Patriots receiver Nelson Aguilar is staying in Baltimore. He's agreed to a 1-year contract extension. Down in Fort Myers, Red Sox owners John Henry and Tom Werner expected to meet with the team today. No word on whether they will also meet with reporters. The Dodgers say Shohei Ohtani is ahead of schedule on his elbow surgery rehab, but he will not play in their spring debut on Thursday. And more than 2 years since his last Major League appearance, 37-year-old former Sox infielder Pablo Sandoval is trying for a comeback, joining San Francisco as a non-roster invitee at spring training. Headlines are brought to you by the Shell Fuel Rewards Program. Boston Bruins fans save big on home game days. Save 25 cents per gallon on Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline with the Fuel Rewards Program. Just download the app and join the Fuel Rewards Program today. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines in around 30 minutes.
It's not just the games. It's the preseason, the postseason, the drafts, the trades, front office drama, the locker room banter, and you talking all about
blah,
it.
Blah, 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 blah.
On Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. It's the all-new way for you to wake up. Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. Yeah. Hello.
Human feces, urine, and debris.
Ta-da! Hello!
Yes.
Hello!
Jackpot.
Hello! Hello!
I'm John Wallach on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hello!
How do you like that?
Hello! Welcome to the show.
How humiliating.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy, but Hardy is not here. He's off in Florida. Off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Not often people go.
No one goes to Florida in February. No one.
No.
Especially this week. No one goes to Florida.
So many fond memories of my pre-divorce trips to Florida at the end there. I really wish I was there right now.
Oh, Fred, I'll go toe-to-toe with you on those trips.
Or you used to go to Florida.
I know
those trips.
You're in Deliveranceville.
Come on.
You're in Deliverance, Florida, center of the state.
Everyone's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, it's Florida without the F. It literally, that's the, Florida.
Well, Ryan Johnston is here. This hour of Toucher and Hardy is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And you can watch us on Twitch at twitch.tv, even though I don't imagine many of you are, as there was literally no cars on the road today. And it is a holiday. And you can call us 617-779-0985. You would go to Lorida, Florida, which was your ex-wife's mother's house, right?
Grandmother's house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because my grandmother, what happened is when my grandfather apparently retired on my dad's side, he took a pension, but the pension was only for as long as he lived.
Okay.
And he died right away. So my mother had like my grandmother had no money, so she moved to Lakeland, Florida.
Okay.
Which is a dump between Tampa and Orlando. It's a real dump, and it's no good.
Land of Lakes, baby. Come on.
Land of Lakes. That's absolutely right.
But the Tigers train there, right?
Joker Merchant Stadium,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're thrilled they're there. It's only a 5-hour drive from every other stadium.
Jeez.
Because no one else is that far north. They can make it to Orlando, I suppose, and Tampa. But I always tell people this. So, people go to Disney World and they say, you went to a school in Orlando. Did you go to Disney World? And I went one time but not even to Disney World, to the island place with the bars. And then when I would spend all the time in Lakeland, my grandmother used to tell my mother and father that she was taking me to Disney World, and then she would take me to Circus World.
You had
in Tampa.
You had a lot of incidents like that. You had the famous Tom Amansky story that the joke your father pulled on you, right?
Yeah, they said
that was also a double a head fake. He said you were going to Disney World for that one too, right?
Yeah, and then they took me to Tom Amansky at Boardwalk and Baseball, I believe, was Tom Amansky's.
Jeez.
And they took me to Tom Amansky's baseball thing, which I really didn't want to go to, but he made me. And looking back, if my son was that hell-bent on not going to something, I would just be like, all right, we're not going.
Right.
You can't force someone to do something. They're not going to get anything out of it.
Well,
But at least-
our parents used to force us to do things.
Yeah, at least you went to Florida. My grandparents never moved out of New York. I had one grandmother that lived her entire life in New York City and passed away there, and another one decided the one who lived in Queens decided she wanted to move, and you know where she moved? Seattle. So I had no warmth at all at this point.
Well, my mother's parents died in Kings Park, Long Island, and that's where I had to spend most of the time. I used to have to spend August in Kings Park, Long Island by myself. So I'd much rather be in New York City or even Seattle than Kings Park, Long Island in Comac.
That's true. I win.
Yeah.
I win there.
You win there,
That
yeah.
comparison, I win. Yes.
To my old-ass poor grandparents, where they had a old stone grill from probably from before they moved into the house, from like the 1800s, legitimately. And all it was this piece of stone with a hole in it, and I would just throw tennis balls into it. That's how I spent my time.
Wow.
There was nothing to do.
Yeah.
There was nothing to do until I got older, and I hooked up with one of the neighbor girls.
Nice. Now we're talking.
Machi.
You haven't lived till you found an island girl. They're one of a kind, a separate breed from everything else.
Well, that was before it was all Jersey Shore-ish. And now when I go back, and I have to go back in June when for something, but when I go back now, it's just like the Jersey Shore. You fly into that Islip Airport, and
That's too bad.
And everyone looks like the Situation without the abs.
Okay. They all have the haircut, but no
Yes.
one stayed in shape?
Yes, it got very Jersey Shore-esque.
And they all got the tan and the haircut. But they didn't
I
stay
mean,
in shape.
it's really a Situation. It used to be real Irish and everything, and now it's just not. It's a whole Jersey Shore. People commuting to the city from there. It's got to be an hour and 15-minute train ride.
Whoa,
2-hour train ride
at least.
But I will. I have when I have my kids. My daughter hangs around, so I'll take her to the movies every time I have her. And I write actually down. I saw a director who did it. He wrote every movie that he sees at home and in the theater, and it keeps a list of them. And I thought that was a good idea. So I keep a list of the movies that we've seen. So I've probably over the last 5 years seen 50 movies with her.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I will tell you this is that
Man.
I saw One Love, the Bob Marley movie.
Okay.
And it was the worst movie the two of us have seen together.
The reviews weren't bad.
No, the reviews are terrible. It made a lot of money.
The box office is huge.
The box
43% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Yeah, when I about a quarter of the way through it, I went on my phone and I looked at Rotten Tomatoes and I said, "This can't be well reviewed."
The audience score is 93%, though.
Good God.
Oh, the place was packed, but I knew, strangely enough, I knew two other people by circumstance that just they happened to be there that were there, and I talked to them after the movie, and everyone hated it. It was real boring. It starts after there's an assassination attempt on him, so it starts even after like the Whalers break up. And then and then they speak in patois, which I understand, but you can't really understand them. And nothing interesting happens except that he gets the foot thing that kills him. And then they find out he's got the cancer. Like nothing, it's awful. Nothing happens. And I got to tell you, as much as I like Bob Marley fine, you've heard those songs a trillion times.
Yes. Yes.
A billion times.
Yes.
I mean, that Bob Marley Legend album, if you went to college anywhere from...
I was just going to say.
They handed you a copy when you showed up.
Everybody had to be cool. Everyone had the Bob Marley in my day record or / tape. That's how old I am. But I'm looking at RogerEbert.com. What's the point? It's a question I ask myself over and over again through the interminable slog that is Bob Marley, One Love. Between uneven plotting and unconsciously vapid dialogue, One Love acts as though Marley the person is a record skip spoiling the jukebox spin. Wow.
Yeah, it's real
That's
bad.
the first paragraph.
It's really bad.
Man.
And let's put it this way. My daughter's 13. She watched The Holdovers, the Giamatti movie, and like she wasn't like in love with it, but it's long and like a film for adults, and she didn't hate it. She has sat through American Fiction, and she didn't hate it. Like, so she'll like sit through like a movie that's for like adults, not for kids. In like 10 minutes in, I'm like, this sucks, and she's like, yeah, it sucks. And so usually I tell her to get off her phone, and then like halfway through, I'm just like, get on your phone. I'm like, you don't have to.
You hung in there and finished it, even though you both thought it was terrible.
I wanted to walk out, but I had nothing. I looked, and it was only an hour and a half long, so I was like, all right, I'll just stay.
If it's bad, as long as it's quick, that's fine.
Yeah, but it seemed really long.
Does your daughter have any clue who Bob Marley is?
Vaguely, yeah. So you would think that, like, for her, that even there's a lot of music in it, and you would think that since she doesn't know the songs, they haven't been played incessantly to her, that maybe that would have made her like it a little bit more. But no, she did not like it, and she couldn't understand what they were saying, which isn't the fault of the film. But it starts at a random time, and it doesn't really cover anything particularly interesting of a guy who had a really interesting life. It starts at a weird time and then ends at when he dies, and there's no, like, you don't feel bad.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, oh, yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah, my bad. My bad. I should have told you.
It's a story that has never been told.
But it's not even like the good story. Like, it's not about, growing up in Trenchtown. It's not about growing up mixed race in Jamaica when that was considered, very difficult to do. It's not about when the Whalers formed. It's not about any of that. Like, Peter Tosh is already out of the band when it starts.
Really?
Yeah.
It makes no sense at all.
No, it's more about... So
Tosh himself is worthy of a story.
Right, well, yeah, believe me.
I mean, Jesus.
So he gets shot at in his real life. He gets shot at this concert in Jamaica, and then he exiles himself to England for like 2 years. It like basically is that 2 years of exile, and it's just really weird. And Ziggy Marley comes on the screen before the movie, and he's like, this is a great movie. And you're like, all right, well, great. You have a financial stake in it.
Yeah, he's an executive producer.
Yeah, I don't know why you're doing this. You're breaking the fourth wall. Like now I know you're involved.
Did you at least get a good meal out of the experience when you went to the movie? So was it a complete waste of time?
Oh, I don't get the meal at the movie.
Oh,
You're getting meals at the movies, John?
No, they serve them at that place. But
okay.
that's,
That's
they
right.
serve him at the one I go to also. 22 Flutie Pass in Framingham.
I don't like the
movie theater food.
I just think it's weird to like get a big meal, and they bring it out like an hour into the movie.
Yeah.
It's all cold. It's enough to get popcorn from these people.
Like, hey, can you pass this down? The guy in the middle. Pass the steak frites down to him. Yeah, him.
No. It's different different where I go.
I know.
You get tables, man.
Oh, no. This isn't tables.
Okay.
All right, Johnny, what happened last night? What are we going to get into?
Well,
It's
we
very
had
exciting.
the magic that was the NBA All-Star Game. The Bruins are in trouble, and Jaromir Jagr had his number retired last night.
Yes. Did you see what he posted? What he said during his?
Yes,
you have it?
we'll get to it.
All right, I
Don't
won't
worry.
spoil it then. He said something very Jagr-esque
Yes, he
during
did.
the retirement ceremony. All right, we'll be right back.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Country music has so many generous artists who always seem to jump in to help those in need. We're spotlighting 5 who lead by example and lend a helping hand to charitable causes. See who made our list when you text GIVE to 45911. Text GIVE to 45911 and read all about it right now on BackstageCountry.com.
It's the all-new Toucher and Hardy
Whatever, man.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Did you catch the game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Johnny Wall game. What's going on, buddy boy? What happened last evening?
Well, as you know, Fred, the NBA All-Star Game took place last night in Indianapolis, about 2 blocks over from St. Elmo's. And, Fred, I think you and I both agree that's the only restaurant that anyone knows about in Indianapolis. So when you say this happened in Indianapolis, you have to figure out where it happened in relations to St. Elmo's.
Well, there was the Hooters that had a all-star cast for the Super Bowl. Hooters had flown girls in for the Super Bowl in Indianapolis.
Right.
Do you recall?
Yes, I do.
There was very attractive women at the Hoots.
Yes, and then you had the TGI Fridays that was attached to your hotel. That was the other
that
place.
was just convenient.
That's clutch.
That was.
I've stayed at a hotel with a TGI Fridays attached to it.
Can't
Wilkes-Barre,
lose.
Pennsylvania.
Can't. that was one of those AHL road trips right
Yep.
there.
I thought you were going to say Paris. When I was there, anytime I felt down, I came in there and I went, you know what? These guys seem happy. The staff here, they seem to be. I mean, the pins say it.
We once had to buy like 100 beers out of the bar at that TGI Fridays because in Pennsylvania it's really difficult to get beer.
Yes,
like it's impossible. You can't buy cases
right.
And it was a Sunday, and we were getting ready for the bus trip back to Lowell.
Okay.
So after the game, wanted to buy some beers for the boys for the bus. We literally couldn't have. There wasn't a place where we could get cases. We went back to the hotel to the TGI Fridays. Coach rolled off a whole bunch of 20s, handed them to the captain, and said, "Go in and buy as many beers as you can." So guys went in one at a time and bought 6 at a time and took them out at like $3 a beer.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's a 6-hour drive too. So my God! All right,
Look at the geographic John Wallach, knowing how long it is from whatever the hell town that was to Lowell.
Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
He knows Wilkes-Barre to Lowell. Those are 2 places that not everyone knows the distance between.
That's true. So Commissioner Adam Silver went out of his way before last night's game to say that last year's game, a 184-175 win by Team Giannis over Team LeBron, wasn't competitive and things would be better this time around. That, ladies and gentlemen, did not happen. The format changed with East playing West. That format reinstated for the first time since 2017. But the 2 teams combined for 100 points in the first half. The East had 104 by themselves at the break. The final score set a new record. For the first time in the history of the game, one team scored over 200 points. The East beat the West 211-186. Now, I watched the first half of this game. My son is a huge basketball fan, mammoth basketball fan, wanted to watch. I watched with him. I made it a half. Luka Doncic missed a bounce off the floor, alley-oop dunk to himself, and that was immediately followed by a pull-up half-court shot by Damian Lillard that he made early in the third quarter. I'm like, that's it. I've had it. I'm done. Lillard made 11 threes. He scored 39 points in all and was voted the game's MVP in a close vote over the Indiana Pacers hometown hero Tyrese Halliburton. Lillard, the first player ever to win both the game MVP and the three-point shootout. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown both participated in this game, and we'll get to that in a second. But I got to ask both of you, this game is an abomination. Neither team cared from the moment it happened. No one cared in the fourth quarter when people were supposed to take it seriously. How do you make this game better?
You don't. It's an exhibition, and people just have to suck it up. You're having athletes that can't afford to get hurt, that just want to screw around. The game doesn't count for anything. I wouldn't make it count for anything. You can sit here and try to improve it, but for what? I mean, so what? It's it is what it is, and don't watch it. I mean, it sounds simple, but every year people bitch about the All-Star game, and every year it doesn't matter. It's not something that, like, come with your season tickets. It's not something that, is important for the game of basketball to succeed. It doesn't matter. I didn't watch 1 second of it. And I didn't feel like I needed to for the show. I felt no need to. And then they barely. You know what? So I listened to that, like, basically Sports Center on the way in. Mm-hmm. They spent far more time talking about women college basketball and Brittany Grimes getting her number retired at Baylor than they did about the All-Star game. It just is what it is. They could score 400 points. They could score 50 points. And I got news for you. I was bored, and one day recently, and on YouTube, I watched like 20 minutes of like the 1965 All-Star game or something, mm-hmm. and that was boring. Yeah. And they were trying, and so who cares? I just don't watch it.
It seemes like the commissioner cares. The commissioner has gone out of his way to change the format.
Yeah, because the commissioner's job is to probably 0.001% of his job is the All-Star game.
No, it's bigger. It's bigger than that, because the All-Star game is the week where they glad hand all the sponsors. Like, that's what the All-Star games are really about.
They'll never get rid of it for that reason.
They don't get rid of it.
Well, and they won't get rid of it, but the sponsors show up and they're bored. Because they're watching.
Right. Yeah. They're not there for the game, though. That's like saying that
I get it,
sponsors
but they're still
are at the
sitting
Super Bowl for the
game.
They're
still sitting there on Sunday night watching. There were 168 3-point attempts last night.
If you think that if you think the league is going to change the All-Star game to appease the sponsors that show up,
that's
to it,
why they want it to be competitive.
No, they don't. You're smarter than that. The sponsors go to drink and to network. They don't care about the actual game.
They care about there being energy in the building. They care about the people who are there watching it having something to care about. They do.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a priority for them. I really don't. I'm
not saying they're hanging on every basket, Fred, but if you're sitting in
the commissioner doesn't care.
Quiet building for 3 hours last night, it's boring.
What's the biggest thing that the league did this season? The biggest change, not for the All-Star game, just in the season. Oh, come on. John, you cover the.
You're talking about defense?
No. The biggest change that this year that the NBA made, they did something this year they've never done.
Tournament.
Thank you. So the in-season tournament, when people have tickets and they're competitive games, that's what he's concerned with. He's not concerned with the All-Star game. He's not concerned. He doesn't care. Do you know what they want at the All-Star game? Are celebrities. They want celebrities in the stands.
Well, they had Guy Fieri sitting front row.
Did you see? You couldn't miss that guy during the 3-point competition. The camera's right in his
chomping
face.
on an unlit cigar the entire time.
You got angry about that on Twitter.
I didn't get angry about it.
Was it the cigar that bothered you?
So I saw, yes, because
why?
It's such first of all, it's such an old man move, like the unlit cigar. But I saw a guy in the grocery store a couple of weeks ago who was about 80 years old, and he's walking around with this unlit cigar, and I'm like, that is the most disgusting thing.
I know.
Like I don't mind a cigar now and then. You go out golfing or whatever, but the idea of an unlit cigar for like hours, just turning into like a burlap sack in your mouth is disgusting.
It's an oral fixation.
Yeah.
I mean, that is. Yeah. I mean, you're really. I mean, it's just you got to have something in your mouth. I mean, it's something from childhood, obviously, that you're overcoming. But honestly, like, I just think it's a weekend where nothing else is going on. And so there's just this. It's like the Red Sox. Even though you're legitimate now, but with the Red Sox, there's just you need in the summer people need to bitch about something, so they bitch about the All-Star game, and really, it doesn't affect your enjoyment of the season. Like when your team sucks, it hurts your enjoyment of the basketball season, right, or any other sport. So that's when you start complaining,
like 2024 in the Red Sox. Yeah,
exactly.
An entire summer of sucking. Yes,
they're going to suck this year, and even though they have 79.3 is what ESPN puts them at.
Hammer the under. I talked to Milliken. I talked to your buddy Matt McCarthy. They are all
hammering
the under.
Put them 6 feet under.
Yep, that's right. All right,
bury them is what I'm saying because they're dead on arrival.
All right, you want to take a break and we'll do Tatum and Brown on the other side? You want to get that done here?
I like that you said other side like a real insider.
Yes, that's right.
But I will. I think you're right. I think your instincts are correct. I think that you're steps away from running the ship. I think Dan's got a small erection right now,
just a heartbeat away,
knowing that you are getting us to break on time. So
you can go home at 7.
Can I?
Well,
there's no reason to be here.
Oh no,
there's
you go, we all go.
He does have a point. It really. I take a look at the studios down the hall. They're both dark.
The point is later
here.
on
That's
the
just
year
sad.
when you take the comp day. That's
all the lights are off and everywhere else in the building except here.
I know we have to, but real quick. Isn't it sad just for radio that these rooms are empty?
Yeah.
That it's the 10th largest market in the country.
You know what? We'll just go national. We don't need a local.
They're not
local
national.
Show.
They're computers. It's just computers playing crap.
That's right. No DJs.
Not a live personality, and not even somewhere to make sure if the computer goes haywire. Like you could walk into that room.
Start hitting buttons.
And just start hitting buttons. And I bet you I contend they wouldn't figure out anything was going on for 3 hours.
I would agree, and that's really sad. Yes.
You know the story about when I was in Atlanta in that Burt show?
Yes, you got locked out, or you started playing swears and no one showed up?
No, you're jumping the story. So I was doing the morning show at 99X, and there was this guy, Burt Weiss. He's a real prick. And he does the Burt show, which is this like vomitous show for women. Because he acts like women are idiots. And he was out, and it was before everything was that computerized. And no one showed up to run his morning show, and the whole show was out. So it was off air for an hour. We called his producer, and we were like, you got to come in. And he didn't wake up. We just left a message. So there was no one. So they just had dead air. So we had someone from our show go in there and like try to like screw around with stuff, but they were like on the air on his station, and we were talking to him like on the phone from our station, like, you know, nothing a big deal. And Bert like lost his mind and complained, and they like took like all this money away from us, like this promotional money away from us. He's a real dick. And he did this thing where he lost a bet, in quotations, and he had to do billboards shirtless.
Okay.
And first of all, the guy is legitimately 5'2". So you can lift weights all you want, buddy. You're there's a whole league of women that ain't touching you. Mm-hmm. But he's 5'2", and he went on they gave him 6 months before he did the billboards, and he like whatever he was. I remember he could eat 6 grapes a morning. Like he was on this intense diet, and then they did these billboards of him where he was basically just ripped.
Okay,
and he was like, "Oh, the egg's on my face! I can't believe I'm doing these billboards." And they were just this attempt to make him look sexy. He's just such an awful prick.
Where is he now?
Atlanta.
They're still in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's a big piece of garbage. I hate him.
He's got very natural-looking teeth.
Yeah, he's a real good guy, and you should see how much of his original show is still with him. Oh, that would be nobody. And they talk so fondly about him. A girl from Road Rules was one of his first co-hosts. I'll show you her if you bring up the road rules. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Wondering who made our list of the top 5 all-time queens of country music? Did Carrie Underwood make the cut? Find out now when you text Queens to 45911 and scroll through the list on BackstageCountry.com. Text Queens to 45911 to see the talented artists who rounded out our top 5 list.
Hey, if your alarm clock sounds like this is the show for you.
No.
Toucher and Hardy,
No.
the Sports Hub.
I don't like that one. That's got to go.
Yeah.
All right, this hour of Toucher and Hardy is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Paul on the phone has a setup for a joke, so I want to hear the punchline.
I watched like 2 minutes of the game, John. I mean, that thing is like a bad marriage. It just needs to end.
Yes.
Well, that wasn't much
Yes.
of a setup. I
Yes,
mean, the
it does.
punchline. I mean, that's pretty just, bad marriages need to end.
Was that the punchline for you or for me, or what was that?
Well, it's not much of a joke. I mean, the setup is the NBA All-Star Game is like a bad marriage, and then the punchline is it just needs to end. I would call that not funny.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I will tell. But it was a nice attempt. I appreciate
Okay.
it. But I'll tell you this is that you don't watch it. It does. It's one night. It doesn't need to be watched. Believe me, I didn't watch it, and I don't feel guilty about not watching it.
If my son wasn't such a huge basketball fan, I wouldn't have watched it either.
And I didn't watch I would have, but I wasn't around. But I would have watched the 3-point contest.
Oh, that's the only event that's worth watching.
Yeah.
That skills thing was ridiculous. I think Anthony Edwards tried making all his shots left-handed during that skills thing.
Shows you the importance.
He didn't give a crap. And the dunk competition was abysmally bad.
Well, I just heard after the All-Star game, because Damian Lillard won MVP and he won the 3-point contest, is that afterwards they were like, the only other guy to do that in the same All-Star weekend to win 2 things. One thing on Saturday and then the All-Star game MVP was Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
He's like, okay. It's not the biggest accomplishment of the guy's life, but okay.
All right, let's get to Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, because Tatum said something interesting. Tatum scored 20 points as a starter. Brown had 36 off the bench for the winning team last night.
Try hard.
Whatever. The two men spoke to the media Saturday, and Tatum said something really interesting about his standing in the league. He was asked before the game who the face of the NBA would be when LeBron James retired.
So I think the league is in a great place. When LeBron retires, the face of the league, that's tough. But, we win a championship. I got something to say about it. I know that.
All right, so Tatum thinks that he's got an opportunity to be the face of the league. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've called Celtic games. I'm a massive Celtic fan. Tatum's somewhere between 5 and 7. You got Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, Luka, Durant, Steph, and then Tatum, Shea Gilgeous, Alexander.
Yeah, the question was asked, though, with LeBron, Steph, and KD retiring. I shorten their names because we're boys.
Mm-hmm.
But who would be the face? I mean, I don't blame him for going, I should be, because I win money too.
I want the guy who's the star of my team to think that way.
Well, I also, if I want advertising money, I'm not going to go, no. I'm not going to tell, everyone who wants to put my face on something, no. But I mean, and you can tell right now his charisma is enough just to put him over the top. No, he's not. He's not good enough, and he's not interesting enough. No, he's never going to be the face of any league. And if he is the face of the NBA's, that's not ideal for the NBA. Think of how many guys you could put in front of him. Anthony Edwards, you just mentioned. I'd rather have be the face of the league. I'd rather have Giannis be the face of the league.
Embiid, who's the MVP. Jokic, who was the two-time MVP
I'd
before that.
I'd rather have Victor Wembanyama be the face of the league, even though he's too tall.
But you say that, and it's interesting because players believe it's going to be him.
Yeah.
There was a story over the weekend out of a newspaper in San Antonio. I think they call it the News Express, where there are players now that think that Victor Wembanyama is going to be the face of this league over all the other guys that we talked about before.
He might be too tall, but we'll see. Giannis is kind of screwing up with his getting coaches fired and everything.
Yeah.
But Giannis
you want to talk about how no one really cares about the All-Star game. Doc Rivers, who was 3-7 as the head coach of Milwaukee, turned out to be the coach of the Eastern Conference.
Why?
Well, first of all, you can't be the head coach in back-to-back years. So Missoula did it last year, and even though the Celtics had the best record in the East, he can't do it this year. So you go to the team with the second best. It is, but you go to the team with the second best record in the East, and at the time they had to make the decision, Milwaukee had the second best record, even though they had just fired their head coach. So Doc, who is the head coach of Milwaukee now, gets the job.
Okay.
That's why he wound up being the head coach of the East.
All right. Yeah, that is weird.
It's laughable that he wound up being the head coach of the East because he's been terrible since he got the job.
They should have had Adrian Griffin coach the team.
Seriously.
That would have been nice
to do.
Yeah, give him some.
It's like, hey, you're the one responsible for being here, so let him coach.
Yeah, that would have actually been quite nice.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think Victor Wembanyama might be just too much of a physical freak, too tall. Because people more identifiable, I think, even though no one really in the NBA is, no one's 6'7", but still, you know what I'm saying? We've talked about this before. Wembanyama, it's almost too easy for him. It's not interesting. He can take 2 steps from the 3-point line and dunk.
And you've seen him miss a 3, take 2 steps, grab the rebound, and dunk the putback.
Right, which is
That's
cool, but it's
ridiculous.
also it's not like he practiced that.
I know.
It's just he can do it.
He was in the skills competition on Saturday night, and
Yeah.
that includes the ball handling and the 3-point shooting, and he was just fine. And it's effortless. He averages 20 and 10, but you have a feeling that if he had anybody else around him, the numbers will go straight through the roof. And that's the thing. San Antonio just has an atrocious roster around him.
Were you serious, Dan, that kids will look up to him? Or are you saying that
No,
I don't think
so.
kids will look up to him
Well, I was
because
going to ask, you guys have teenage kids, whatever, but I think coming up, the jerseys are going to start to sell.
it's Steph Curry because he's
Still
small.
Steph, but yes.
but because he's
in
small.
5 years, when Wembanyama's only 25.
They can't relate to him. There's no dream there. They'll never be Wembanyama. Wembanyama is 7, whatever.
7'5". My kid thinks Victor Wembanyama is interesting. I mean, he's freakishly tall, and he's interesting to watch, but my kid likes guards. My kid's a Lillard fan. Always has been.
But, John, in 5 years, well, maybe they grow out of it, but in 5 years, Lillard will be gone, Steph will be gone, LeBron will be gone.
But then it will be another guard. It's
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah,
it'll be him.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Or Ja Moran if he ever calms down. These are the guys
But the NBA
that
wants to market, and if they want to market somebody like him, if he's international, he's French, he speaks a couple languages. They're
fine internationally. Yao Ming was a big star internationally,
Sure,
but
kids didn't want his jersey
But kids
here.
didn't want his jersey.
No,
in the
it'll
United
be
States.
Ja Morant is a high flyer. He's really exciting to watch. If he ever gets his head screwed on straight and stays healthy, he'll be the guy that they market the crap out of. So.
Kids like the Jamoramas.
Gotcha. Okay.
They like the high flyers.
Let's get to the Bruins because we have Ryan here. They've tied a team record. They lost their 4th straight game during the same homestand. And after really bad losses to Calgary and Washington during the run, they found a new way to lose their last game, Fred. They were up 3-1 late in the second period. They blew a pair of 1-goal leads in the third in their own building, and they lost to a Western Conference wildcard team, the LA Kings. Jim Montgomery wasn't happy afterwards, 5-4.
We added to our problems today. We had breakdowns that shouldn't be happening within our structure, and then also just game management. You got to close out a game. You're up twice in the third period, and we don't close it out. And then, in the overtime, our power play's got to put it away. We didn't.
Ryan Johnston. Jim Montgomery's done all the things head coaches have needed to do in the last couple of weeks. He's scratched guys. He's mixed up lines. He's called his team out. What is the problem with the Bruins, and can it be fixed?
Oh, it can be fixed. I mean, and guys, just everybody's playing below where they should be at this point. I mean, it literally, there's nobody playing well. They're making mistakes, mental errors. I need to see some guys just decide enough is enough and take the bull by the horns. I pointed out on Twitter the other day, they had a 2-on-1, DeBrusk and Pasternak. DeBrusk never looked at the net. He literally is carrying the puck right down the right circle and is looking at Pasternak the entire way. There was no way he was going to shoot that puck. I'm sorry. Shoot. Like, Pasternak's one of the best goal scorers in the league. He can't be the only one. And right now, every power play, every chance they get, all four guys are feeding him. Like, easy play for the goaltender to make if you know there's only one guy going to shoot. That it's a mindset with this team that they've just got to figure out that, hey, the rest of us aren't bad either. I think everybody's deferring, and they're not good enough to defer.
And Pasternak has gone into a little bit of a slump. 2 goals in his last 7 games coming out of the All-Star break. He was red hot going in, did pretty well during the All-Star game, but has really struggled since. And if people are feeding him the puck and he isn't scoring, they're having a lot of trouble. But it's the blowing of leads, too, on your own ice.
Yeah.
Mentally,
that happens with every time LA comes to Boston. It's unbelievable.
Let's break and we can come back. We can finish up this discussion on the Bruins. We'll be right back.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Country music has so many generous artists who always seem to jump in to help those in need. We're spotlighting 5 who lead by example and lend a helping hand to charitable causes. See who made our list when you text GIVE to 45911. Text GIVE to 45911 and read all about it right now on BackstageCountry.com.
On the air, online, on the air. This is how Boston sports fans start their day. Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Kings back to full strength.
Oh, no.
And it's banked ahead. Here's Clark on a breakaway. He'll come into the far circle, not to the slot. Backhand, he scores! Grant Clark out of the box, scores on the breakaway. The LA Kings cascade off their bench. They come up victorious 5-4 over the Bruins here at TD Garden.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Ryan Johnston's in for Hardy, and the Bruins had a terrible home game. They've had a terrible home stand.
They've tied a franchise record. This is something that they're in unprecedented territory. It's only the second time ever they've lost 4 straight home games on the same homestand.
Yeah, and it was funny. Jeffy was saying that they just want to get the hell back out of town, which I think is interesting because everyone assumes these homestands are so wonderful. And he said it came too soon after the All-Star break. He said the guys want to get the hell away.
They're home for like a month.
Yeah. They said they don't like that at all. And so you were saying that tell us what's going on,
all right,
Ryan.
So
as you are the host of the hockey show.
They are leaning way too much on Pasternak right now, and listen, the guy's a great goal scorer, but defer. I was just looking up the last 2 games. Saturday, he had 13 shot attempts. He had 4 on goal, but some blocked, some missed. But he had 13 shot attempts in Saturday's game. There wasn't another guy on the team who had more than 7 attempts. On Thursday night, he had 15 attempts, and there wasn't another guy on the team who had more than 7. Like, everybody is feeding him, expecting that he's going to score 2 or 3 goals every night. It's just not going to happen. At some point, you got to be selfish. And I think part of the issue I have with this team, from a physical standpoint and now from a scoring standpoint, is this is a team full of nice guys. There's no mean streak on this team at all. There's no real overly physical players on this team at all. I need a little snarl, and I need a little selfishness, just a little me-first attitude sometimes that get your game going, and it'll help the team.
That's Marchand. That used to be Marchand, right?
Yeah.
And it's not now.
No, since he's been a captain, he's kind of flying the straight and narrow, right? He's setting the example. I need that. If
you need
you're
Marchand from 3 or 4 years ago.
If you're looking at the trade deadline and what's the biggest thing that they need to add right now, it's that. They need a mean streak on this team.
All right.
Because
whatever they got, not working.
I look at the game against Seattle where they're outplaying Seattle, but Kraken are getting good goaltending, puck's not going in. Guess what? You needed somebody in that situation to say, we need a little extra juice in this building. Mm-hmm. Let's drop the gloves. Let's run somebody through the glass. Even if you're taking a penalty on it, let's wake everybody up in this building. And they don't have that.
That would have been Lucic. Lucic would have been the guy to do that.
Well, that's the question is now Lucic.
They never replaced him.
His wife didn't show up to the hearing as had been predicted by Dungeon Master Jim.
Oh, that's right.
So he is not charged anymore for any of that. Is there any chance that he could be coming back?
Team says no.
Okay.
The team put out a statement that day and said he will remain away from the team for the rest of the season.
All right, real quick before we get to the top of the hour, Fred, I wanted to get to Jaromir Jagr because there's probably not going to be another time to do that. Jagr had his number 68 retired by
one
the
away
Pittsburgh
from giving
Penguins
you the
last
pleasure.
night.
Yeah.
Practiced with the team the other day,
That's
too.
right.
Yes, one more 68, not so fast for the 69.
So Jagr retired from the NHL 6 years ago. This is a very important fact to remember here. Jagr returned from the NHL 6 years ago, and his girlfriend accompanied him to the ceremony.
I want to say thanks to Dominica, my girlfriend. She's too young to remember I played in Pittsburgh, but I told her all the stories, so don't worry about it.
And what's funny is when dudes like the Yogs, who's like in his 50s, I'm sure this woman's like in her late 20s, an adult. Everything's on board. They'll go, oh, that's so creepy. Like guys will go, and women will go, that's so creepy. And the thing is that you are just completely jealous of him. The only reason you're saying that is you're jealous. There's nothing creepy about it. The woman has been an adult for 10 years. She could be the vice president. My dad in 1978, when my dad was working at WB Donor, the vice president of the agency was a 26-year-old woman. It was one of his bosses. So get out of here with that. That's creepy. The only reason that you have a problem with it is if you're a woman, it's because you're old and you feel like that guys should be going after you. And if you're a guy, it's because you're insanely jealous of him.
Do you know when the last time he played in Pittsburgh was? It was 23 years ago.
Yes.
And he's still playing.
I was rock and roll. Well, I mean, he's still, quote unquote, playing.
He's playing for Kladno. He's playing for Kladno.
Of course he's playing for Kladno, which is part of the Jedi. Not the dark, playing for Kladno.
Kladno in the Czech Republic.
Really?
Got 4 points in 15 games this year.
How is he related to Darth Vader? I don't understand. He's playing for Kladno. When do they go to Mordor? Playing for Kladno.
That's Lord of the Rings.
He's still playing.
That's
not he's playing
Star
for
Wars.
Kladno. Believe me, I know what's going on with Jagr. I just think it's funny. It's like, it's so creepy. It's so creepy. Is it now? And you wouldn't be doing it. Especially the guys. Women, I understand there's like this, you're aging out, and I understand that it's a natural thing. But when guys are like, it's creepy. Oh, is it? Because you would not be doing it either. You would not date a 20-something-year-old model if she would have you. She's 29, and he's, 52, 53? So, I mean, good for him. And I like that he's just like, yeah, she won't remember me playing there because she's barely alive. If she was alive, I can't do the math. Yeah, she was barely alive. And that was at the end of his run there. Yeah, he hasn't played there for 28 years. She was 1 when he left. But I just read people like, I can't believe Jagr is with this woman. Yeah, you can't believe it because it will never happen to you. The Jagr is the puff nuts. Yeah. Yes.
That was really his nickname, by the way.
That was
his nickname.
Was Puff
when
Nuts.
He was
Puff
here.
Nuts? Yes.
When he was here, that was his nickname.
Yeah, then they called me the Puff Nuts. I don't need a cup.
Because he used to put on the toque and skate around shirtless with a certain type of shorts.
No, they would say that because I didn't need a cup because there was the natural fluff to stop the puck.
Sure.
It didn't even hurt. I just go, whoopsie. You hit me with the puck in the groin. No problem here. Natural bounce. All right. When we come back, there'll be no commercials, just the headlines. Jonathan Wallach is all over this Patriots documentary. And now in the part it's covering now is the good times. Like this is the time that you get like a little melancholy and everything. These are the good memories. So we'll have him give his review. I refuse to get Apple Plus because I will not watch that soccer show.
Ted Lasso.
No,
it's a good show.
Yeah, but you know what? You've said it, and now
too many
Dan
people
Roach,
like it, so you won't watch it.
No, the wrong people like it.
I see.